So Patrice, just doing a quick roll check to see if we have the Assistant City Manager, Chelsea Jackson on.
Chelsea is with us.
Okay, as well as Maya Jackson.
Maya's as well. And we have Ryan Anderson, the zoning administrator, and Ms. Susan Littlefield Legal is with us as well.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, it's almost 6 o'clock, so I'm gonna give it another 30 seconds and we'll get started. All right. Welcome to the City of Douglasville Planning Commission meeting. I am Martin Raxton, the chairman of the Planning Commission. The other members of the Planning Commission are Faye Dobbs Carter and Ruth Morgan, Larry Toney, Keith Barnett, and April Streetman. The staff members here this evening are Chelsea Jackson, Assistant City Manager, Susan Littlefield, Assistant City Attorney, Ryan Anderson, Zoning Administrator, Patrice Williams, Community Development Director, and Maya Jackson, Planner 1. This meeting of the Douglasville Planning Commission is being conducted by teleconference consistent with Official Code of Georgia, annotated section 50-14-1G, due to emergency conditions involving public safety in order to mitigate the transmission of the coronavirus and to reduce the risk of COVID-19 illness. This code section, which you can find posted with agenda materials for this meeting, will allow meetings to meet by teleconference in the event of emergency, so long as means are afforded for the public to have simultaneous access to the teleconference meeting. For this meeting, we are convening partially by Zoom software as shown by the city's website, describing how the public may join, which is via YouTube media platform. All of our board members and city staff are attending by teleconference, and interested members of the public are attending by live stream via YouTube. All participants and all applicants, please be advised that this meeting will allow public comment as well. Even if members of the public do not provide comment, participants are advised that people may be listening, so do not provide comment. And listeners are not required to identify themselves. Please note that this meeting is being recorded. Board members and city staff, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not talking or speaking, and please remember to speak clearly into your telephone and refrain from shuffling papers, typing loudly, or generating any other background noise to allow for an accurate transcript free of errors to assist with producing accurate minutes. 1, keep your comments and presentation on a professional level, dealing with facts that are important to this commission to make its decision. We will not accept comments that are considered by the chair to be personal attack on any individual or group of individuals. You will receive warning from the chair if you deviate from this requirement. A second deviation will result in a request for you to leave the meeting and the premises for this evening. 2, refrain from any applause or comments from the audience. Only one person will be talking at a time, and all comments will be made after the speaker has been recognized by the chair. Please direct all comments to the chair and the commission, not to the audience or staff. 3, be aware that these hearings are not a debate or an opportunity to ask questions which must be answered by an individual tonight, but are merely an opportunity to present information to the commission. 4, other than the applicant, no person may speak more than once. The applicant may reserve part of his speaking time as rebuttal and may speak free and first and last, and may use the entire 20 minutes allotted for the pro side of the application. Other than the applicant, no person may speak longer than 5 minutes. If you have a cell phone or other electronic device, I ask that you either power them off or put them into silent mode. 6, in order to speak, an online speaker sign-in
Can
form.
you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Ruth, we can hear you if you want to go on mute.
Okay, you can hear me. Good.
Okay. Okay. All right. So again, in order to speak, an online speaker sign-in form must be submitted online prior to the start of the meeting. No forms will be accepted after the meeting is convened. During the public hearing, Assistant City Manager Chelsea Jackson will read your name into the record. Once you hear your name, please repeat your first and last name and address and state whether in favor or against the item, and then proceed with your comments. Minors are not to give their home street address. 7, after each case is called, we will hear first from the Community Development Director, Ms. Patrice Williams, and then we will hear from the applicant or their representative about what their plans are for the property, along with any other relevant information they wish to present. The commission members will be free to ask questions at any time before the vote on a project. Following the applicant, anyone who wishes to speak for or against the project or just ask questions will have an opportunity to do so. The city ordinance restricts each side to maximum of 20 minutes, or time may be waived at the discretion of the presiding official. If questions are raised, we may ask the applicant to speak again. Afterwards, we will call for a motion and second, have any necessary discussion, and if the matter is not tabled, we will vote to recommend approval or denial of the application. This commission is only a recommending body. The item will be heard by mayor and city council, whether we recommend approval or recommend denial. Unless tabled, these items will be heard by the city's mayor and council at their legislative meeting on Thursday, June 11th, and then voted upon by them at their meeting on the following Monday, June 15th. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. I will call the name of each member participating who will respond in favor, against, or abstain. Are there any questions to these requirements? All right, at this time, I'll ask that Ms. Maya Jackson please provide us with the roll call.
Okay, thank you, Chairman Raxton. When I call your name, please respond with present or here. Patrice Williams.
Here, Maya.
Ryan Anderson.
Here.
Chelsea Jackson.
Here.
Susan Littlefield.
Here.
Sam Jenkins. Sam Jenkins. Marcus Thompson.
Here, Maya.
Martin Raxton.
Present.
Larry Tony.
Present.
April Streetman.
Here.
Keith Burnett.
Present.
Ruth Morgan. Ruth Morgan. Okay.
Ruth,
Faye-
you're muted. If you want to take your phone off mute, your computer off mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, thank you. Okay,
All right, I have you down, Ruth. Thank you.
thank you.
Faye Carter.
Here.
Faye, thank you. And that completes the roll, Chairman Raxton. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And it looks like we have a quorum, so thank you. All right, at this time, we will have meeting procedures provided and presented by Chelsea Jackson, Assistant City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You did such a great job at the procedures in the beginning. I'll just reiterate a few rules for the attendees that will be speaking on the public hearing. Currently, attendees, you're in a virtual waiting room and you're muted. Once it is your turn to speak, I will allow you to enter into the meeting room. I will say your first and last name, and then you repeat after me with your first and last name and your address. And please state whether you are in favor or against the item, then proceed with your comments. Other than the applicant, no persons may have longer than 5 minutes to speak. Once you are done, please announce you have ended your comments, and then you will be muted again and dropped from the call. You can continue to listen to the meeting at mycitytv.com, which is the city's YouTube platform. As a reminder, the meeting is not a debate format, but a format that gives you an opportunity to make a comment on the respective agenda item. Please remember to keep your comments on a professional level, dealing with facts only that are important for the governing body to make their decision. Comments that are considered by the chair to be a personal attack on any individual or group of individuals will not be tolerated. You will receive a warning from the chair, and if you receive a second warning, you will be automatically dropped from the call. Also, in order to speak, a speaker comment card should have been completed an hour before the meeting. If you have signed in not under the name that you did not sign in under regarding the speaker comment card, you will not be allowed to speak. Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Just a quick question. Has there been any speaker sign-in forms that have been presented or submitted as of the start or at this time?
Yes, sir. You currently have 5 speakers signed up to speak for item number 20-197.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, are there any questions to the requirements again that have been presented by Assistant City Manager on the procedures, Ms. Chelsea Jackson? All right, will be none. Next item for business is approval of the minutes from the March 3rd, 2020 meeting. The commission members have received the meeting minutes. Are there any questions or comments or modifications to minutes? I did have just one question, just for clarification. This was related to the 6740 West Spring Street, which was topic C. And I just wanted to confirm that the application was by the city of Douglasville. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. All right, are there any other changes or corrections noted to the minutes? All right, being none, I would like to at this time entertain a motion to approve. So at this time, I would like to entertain a motion, and we would need to do a roll call. So I will go ahead and list the names of the members of the commission. Larry Toney.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the minutes.
All right, motion been made. Is there a second to the motion?
I second.
Okay, and that was by Keith? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Motion been properly made and seconded. At this time, we will do a roll call for the vote. So at this time, I will call your name, and if you can approve the motion with a yay or nay, would greatly be appreciated. So again, we'll start with Larry Toney.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Faye Dobbs Carter.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Ruth Morgan.
Aye.
Thank you. Keith Barnett.
Aye.
Thank you. And April Streetman.
Yay.
All right, motion approved. Thank you. All right, at this time we will go, there is no old business for tonight's meeting, so we will go right into new business. New business, and the first new business we're going to hear is to hold a public hearing to consider a proposed ordinance to amend section 6.05 F2D of Appendix A of the Unified Development Ordinance to add fiber cement board as allowed exterior finished materials facade and rear building facade in the Quality Growth Development Overlay District. The application is by the city of Douglasville. And at this time, we'll ask that this community development, Patrice Williams, please provide comments and updates.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everyone. Patrice Williams, Community Development Director, 6701 Church Street. Staff is requesting a proposed ordinance to amend subsection 6.05 F2D of Appendix A of the Unified Development Ordinance The proposed change would add fiber cement board siding as an allowed exterior finished material for side and row building facades in the Quality Growth Overlay District. This item was unanimously referred to the Planning Commission by Mayor and Council at the Monday, June 1st legislative meeting. The applicant is the City of Douglasville. We ask for your positive consideration of this item.
All right. So quick question. Was this a particular request an oversight from the initial Unified Development Ordinance approval, or how did this particular request come into being? If you could just give us some background on that, please.
It was basically brought to our attention. We had an item before you all several weeks ago now, I guess a couple of months ago, and they were looking to build apartments. And so the development plans were approved by council with the understanding that we would need to come back to them regarding the siding. What was allowed in the Quality Growth Overlay District, they could do the cement siding in the front, but they couldn't do it in the rear or the sides. And there was no clear explanation as to why that was the case. So we see this as a housekeeping ordinance. And so we're asking for your support in making this change.
Okay. And just to confirm, it has been reviewed by the city's mayor and council previously? This particular
So
request?
they have, they've approved the development plans that is depending on the passage of this this item. So they are aware of this conversation. They sent this item to you all for review, and there is an expectation that, of course, they'll see it again so they can vote on it as well.
Okay, thank you. All right. Are there any questions from any of the commission members?
None from myself.
Okay. Thank you.
No, sir.
Any other? Okay, all right. All right, well, at this time, I would like to ask if there is anyone in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this particular application, to please at this time do so. And again,
Mr. Chair.
we need to have Chelsea Jackson to provide the approval and be our gatekeeper. So, yes, go
Mr.
right
Chair,
ahead.
there is no one signed up for item number 20-205 for
No.
or against. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right. Well, are there any other questions or comments? All right, well, at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion for item 20-205.
I'll make a motion for item 20-205 to be approved. This
All
is
right.
from April Streetman.
All right, thank you. Motion been made. Is there a second to the motion?
Ruth Morgan, I second.
All right, thank you. Motion has been properly made and seconded. Are there any further discussion? All right, at this time, I will go for a roll call for approval or nay on this particular motion. So we'll start with Larry Tony.
Aye.
Thank you. Faye Dobbs Carter.
Aye.
Thank you. Ruth Morgan.
Aye.
Thank you. Keith Barnett.
Aye.
Thank you. And April Streetman.
Aye.
All right. Motion been approved. Thank you. All right. At this time, the next item for new business is item 20-197. We are here to hold a public meeting to consider a request for a change in zoning from planned unit development with a base zone R6, which is single family attached apartment residential district, to LI, which is light industrial, for 95.052 acres in land lot 169, District 1, Section 4, Section 5, Parcel 4. The application is by IDI Logistics LLC. And at this time, we'll have our Community Development Director, Patrice Williams, come up with opening comments.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair. At this time, we're going to drop Mr. Keith Burnett from the call. So we'll take a moment to do that. All right. So we'll move forward. The applicant, Patrice Williams, Community Development Director, 6701 Church Street. The applicant, IDI Logistics LLC, has requested to rezone land lot 169, District 1, Section 5, and Parcel 4 of approximately 95 acres from R6 PUD to light industrial for the development of 2 warehouse facilities, 1 a 605,000 square foot warehouse facility, and 2 a 450,600 square foot warehouse on property located on Riverside Parkway. Formerly DCD R6, now PUD. However, it should be noted that all the ordinances from the DCD were pulled forward or grandfathered with the adoption of the new UDO and zoning map. To be clear, DCD is the precursor zoning district to the newly adopted PUD zone. The rezoning will further the purpose of the comprehensive plan. The current comprehensive plan shows this parcel as part of a mixed-use design character area. The purpose of the mixed-use design concept is to encourage the best possible site plan and building arrangement under a unified plan of development. The concept benefits from better land use utilization, economy in the provisions of road, utilities, and flexibility in design. The comprehensive plan lists the following zones for the character area: DCD, CG, R2, OI, R3, R4, R6, LI, R6T, CN, and I. The rezoning to light industrial is compatible with the purpose and intent of the most recent comprehensive plan. The properties located in the north and west of the subject property are currently functioning as light industrial. As a result of existing light industrial uses in the vicinity of the subject property, further enhances the intent of the most recent comprehensive plan. Rezoning the parcel from R6 PUD to light industrial will adequately address new or changing conditions in the area. There are several light industrial type uses north and west of the subject property. The changing character of the area is becoming predominantly light industrial. The proposed amendment will adequately address new and changing conditions. Staff has determined that the subject property located on Riverside Parkway has a land use map designation of mixed use. The proposed rezoning of the subject property from PUD to LI is feasible and compatible with the City of Douglasville land use map. As a result, a text amendment for a change in land use is not necessary. Finally, the proposed rezoning from PUD to LI would not result in a change in the underlying land use. Due to the size of the development, a DRI was required and completed by the Atlanta Regional Commission and the Georgia Regional Transportation Authority. The local trigger for the DRI was the request for a rezoning. The expected build out is 2023. A traffic study was completed and it was determined that the study meets the level of service requirements. In reviewing the application, comments from the Douglasville Police Department, Atlanta Regional Commission and Georgia Regional Transportation Authority, Douglas County Water and Sewer Authority, Douglas County School System, and the Douglasville Building Division have been provided or included within the staff report. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. And who will be representing the applicant this evening? Is the applicant representative available?
Yes, I'm right here. I'm Cathy Eckert, 1230 Peachtree Street, Atlanta.
Okay, if you can give us some additional details on your proposal.
Sure. I am representing IDI Logistics. I think I have some of my folks on here this evening, although I can't see them. And I think I might also have some consultants. So if you have some questions that I cannot answer, they'll be happy to step in. I want to thank the staff for working through issues with us in terms of appropriate ways to develop this site. And of course, through COVID-19, which has made life a little bit different for all of us. I think Ms. Williams did her customary excellent job of summarizing the project, so I don't want to go over what she said. It is a 2 warehouse project of 605,000 square feet in one and 453,600 square feet in the other. And as you just heard, it did go through a DRI and was recommended for approval, and it is also compliant with the land use plan. What I want to emphasize briefly to you is that this plan is also fully compliant with the original New Manchester DCD. I don't know how many of you might have been around back then when that was first adopted back in 1999, but you may recall the New Manchester was a huge mixed-use community that was to cover 2,340 acres. It was supposed to contain 12.5 million square feet of light warehousing and office. It was supposed to contain 960,000 square feet of retail space and 2,694 residential units. And the reason I emphasize that is that this request, if granted, is going precisely into the area where the light industrial was supposed to go under that original plan. So this has always been contemplated as part of the overall mixed use for the community, and I think that's important to note. Unless you have questions, I will stop it at this point and ask you to approve it and reserve what remaining time I have for rebuttal.
Okay, thank you for that update. I guess the first question, I heard that we have a proposed 2023 build out, if approved, to move forward. Are there any potential tenants that you currently have in mind that you're looking at?
We are going to the market with it now. We do not have any letters of intent in place yet. I really don't feel comfortable disclosing the people we're talking to, but it is who you would expect in a light industrial warehouse district, those types of users.
Okay. All right. Next question I had is in regards to the stormwater drainage, and maybe this may be better for Patrice. I noticed that it would be consistent with the stormwater drainage of the other light industrial facilities and warehouses in that area. And I just want to confirm that it would not add or provide any additional negative impact to the river there, to the Chattahoochee River.
Do you want me to answer that or Patrice?
Either you or Patrice, whoever has the
as you well know, ever since this community was developed, there's been an enormous change in runoff controls and stormwater management. It's come largely out of the EPD and adopted by local governments such as yourselves. So first of all, in designing our stormwater detention systems, we have to actually improve above what is on this property now. So there will actually be an improvement in terms of what is running off the property at present. But an additional enhancement, which I think it's important to note, is that we are adding water quality control. That is to make sure that not only is the runoff control, but that there are no pollutants in that runoff when it comes off the property. I think that that is the response that you were looking for. If you need more detail, I'll be happy to try and supply it.
Okay, thank you. One thing I did not see, and maybe I may have overlooked it, is the number of proposed parking spaces for the two facilities or the two sites. Do you have that or have an estimate?
I don't off the top of my head. If Dan Wintermeyer or Nick Faber are on this call, they might be able to give you the exact number. It's parked at code, I can tell you that, but I don't know what the number is.
This is Dan Wintermeyer. My address is 1904 Monroe Drive,
Okay.
Atlanta, Georgia, 30324. I've got the site plan up. Hang on one second. Let me, so I can get it. So the total number of parking spaces, auto parking spaces, is 609 for both buildings.
Okay. And that is auto. Okay.
Auto.
And are we proposing any trucks, or I'm not sure if we're thinking 18-wheelers or any light industrial trucks, or what's the thought there?
Yes, sir. We will have light industrial loading bays as you would expect to see in a light warehouse distribution center.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, questions from the commission?
Mr. Chairman, I have one. This is Larry.
Yes, yes.
I just noted on the staff report that the west property line abuts some single-family dwellings, supposed to be a buffer over there. What's that going to look like, and how many houses do we have over there?
I don't know the number of houses we have over there, but we are happy to do a 50-foot disturbed and then replanted to make sure that the screening is present with vegetation. a buffer if you would like that.
Okay, yeah, it says it'd be required. About how far from the building will the houses be? Any idea?
Don't know that one either. Maybe Patrice does.
Okay,
Larry, may I answer a question?
absolutely. Go ahead, April.
Are you talking about the houses down on Roberts Road?
Yeah, this, the staff, let's see, the staff recommendations, there's a little chart here and it talks about the building. It says west property line abuts single-family dwellings, and a buffer will be required. I was just wondering what that buffer.
Well, there are 3 houses down on Roberts Road.
Okay,
Because my mother used to own one of them.
I missed that.
I said there are 3 houses down on Roberts Road because my mother-in-law used to own one of them.
Okay. I think they are zoned light industrial, but as I said, if you'd like us to put some kind of a buffer, we're happy to do it.
This is Patrice. So if I could add, that would be a conversation during the development process. So that is actually a requirement. So Cathy is correct in saying that, but that would be part of the next phase of the process.
okay.
All right. Other questions from the commission?
None from myself.
Okay.
No questions. Ruth Morgan.
Okay. Okay.
No question, Faye Carter.
Okay. All right. Well, at this time, I do understand we do have. Was someone speaking? Okay. Well, at this time, I am going to go ahead and ask for the Assistant City Manager, Chelsea Jackson, to join. And understand we do have some cards. So if there are any individual residents in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this particular application, we'd like to go ahead and recognize them now at this time. So Assistant City Manager Jackson, if you have any cards in favor of this particular application.
No, sir, we do not have anyone in favor of this application.
Okay. All right. I am required to ask again if there are anyone in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this application. Please do so at this time. All right. Well, likewise, there are, I assume, then cards that would like to speak other than in favor. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Assistant City Manager Chelsea Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We do have a few individuals that are here to speak against this item. The first individual, I just want to verify that you can hear me, Kelly Bethay.
Yes.
Kelly Bethay, please state your first and last name and your address for the record, and then proceed with your comments.
Good afternoon. My name is Kelly Bethay. I reside at 9161 Dover Street. I'm in the Riverbanks Tributary subdivision on Riverside.
All right. At this time, if you could give us some reason or if you could provide input on why you're against this particular application.
Yes, I am against the application to rezone the 95-acre area on Riverside to light industrial. It is my understanding, which actually contradicts what Rachel, I believe her name is Rachel Zucker, stated, is that the master plan, the original master plan for the tributary subdivision was for that 95-acre area to be zoned residential, single-family homes. And that's how I'd like to keep it. I have a vested interest in the area. I have a child that goes to school in the area. I live here, I pay taxes here, and seeing the increase in traffic, I deal with it. Living here with the other warehouses that have popped up around the area in just the last 3 years that I've lived in this area, in this subdivision. So yes, I'm not for it. I'm definitely against it. And that's about it.
Okay, so just quick question. You indicated that it was originally zoned for residential. And I just want to get a context of where or what documentation do you have with that information?
Our former city councilman, Richard Siegel, he shared the master plan on our social media page for our subdivision. I can get that. I don't have it with me at the moment, but I know that he shared that and showed the area, this 95 acre lot that we're addressing today, that it was originally in the master plan zoned for residential single family homes specifically. So not just, I know R6 could be like apartments. It's my understanding it can be apartments. It can be single family homes. It can be, you know, other, I guess, structures, but this was specifically for residential single family homes, which is what we want to see more of as tax-paying residents in this area.
Okay, and let me just ask, do you have an idea how long ago you saw that master plan, how recent that was?
Oh, it was, now this, mind you, I'm sorry, this was the original plan, not what's happened over the years. When I say that, meaning the original plan, I want to say it dates back to around 2004, prior to the tributary subdivision being developed. You know what I'm saying? I know she went back to 1999, of course. You know, I have no idea about that, but I'm saying as far as the master plan for tributary, it's my understanding that that was zoned and that was part of the tributary master plan, that area.
Okay, I understand.
So, yeah, so it's my understanding that it's since it's been a part of the master plan that that was what it was intended for. And that's what the people who bought homes in this area were expecting, not a bunch of warehouses. We were expecting about 3 more residential neighborhoods or subdivisions to be built up along Riverside Parkway, along with other things, you know, not a bunch of warehouses like it's turned into.
Okay, understand. Thank you. All right, let me ask the Community Development Director, Patrice Williams, if, and I'm assuming that the answer may be yes, that the master plan or the plans have been revised since 2004, where this site we're looking at now would no longer be applicable for residential single-family homes? Did we lose Patrice?
I've got the original map if you want it. I don't know how I'm going to show it to you.
Okay, yeah, I was just curious to see if the zone or the original plan has been updated, revised since 2004 from the original.
You know, sorry.
No, go Kathy, because I got dropped from the call. So you go ahead and proceed.
Okay.
This is the original master plan, and it is dated 1998, and it was approved in 1999. And this area that I'm circling with my finger is where this particular set of buildings is going to go, and it most definitely was industrial. The way the DCD was set up, however, is that this was a floating plan, so it could be changed periodically. And there have been multiple plans that have been submitted to the city and approved over the years. I was involved with some of them because I represented Tributary back when it owned the property. The point is that per the original plan, it is exactly where it was supposed to be. In 2004, it may have gone to single family. The 6th category that it is today does in fact allow multifamily on the entirety of the site.
Okay, thank you. Didn't know, Patrice, if you had anything else to add to that?
I will defer to Ryan.
Okay.
Based on the current conditions, there are it may have originally been zoned for, I mean, on the original plan, it may have called for a residential development, but due to the changing conditions of the environment, it's mostly now light industrial. And that's why I think it's feasible for the current project to go forward because of the changing conditions in the built environment.
Dan. All right, thank you. All right, thank you. All right, Assistant City Manager Chelsea Jackson, I'll go ahead and ask for the next card, next participant that would like to speak.
Yes, sir. I will just verify that Asmir Davis. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Please state your first and last name and your address for the record, and then proceed with your comments.
My name is Asmir Davis. My address is 3209 Ancoat Street, Douglasville, Georgia, 30135.
All right. And if you could give us some background and why you're speaking out and not in favor of this particular application.
Yes, I am a resident in the Tributary Village subdivision as well. We've been here almost 6 years, and I have witnessed over that time period what the impact of the in warehouses coming up all along Riverside has had, both on the trucks speeding down Riverside, as well as issues of trucks coming into the neighborhood. And furthermore, to Kelly's point, as a resident who bought into this community, the vision for the area and the interest that we have is to stop the warehouse development so that we can start to get both residential as well as additional retail for our community so that we as taxpayers can benefit from the area that we live in. That is all I have.
Okay. All right, so if I understand correctly, as a resident, the impacts of the trucks or additional trucks and the expansion of the light industrial warehouses, and then also I think what I understood you to say is that you're looking for additional retail to come into the tributary community. Is that a pretty fair assessment?
That's correct. And the more that we have more warehouses coming up, it decreases the likelihood of both residential and retail on this strip.
Okay, understood. And I'm not sure anyone on the phone could maybe answer this. And I know that at a point there had been some retail, and looks like that the retail was not sustained in tributary. I don't know, maybe you may have some insights on what happened there, Ms. Davis.
Correct. You're very correct on that. There was a whole string of what we hope to have as retail stores, restaurants, that kind of thing. And it just never came to fruition. It is still zoned for it. So it certainly could come if there was any interest in it. But I think probably what happened is when the recession hit, it limited the number of new housing starts. We haven't still got the number of rooftops that are required to support commercial uses. So I don't know that it's a viable commercial area. However, this property is not. It's zoned for multifamily. So it wouldn't go here anywhere. And there is a distinct difference between the east end of Riverside and the west end of Riverside. The east end has become solidly industrial. The west side is where the residential predominantly is, and where I believe these folks live, which was the original town center and parcel R of the original development. I think that was noted in the staff report, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. All right, are there any other questions to Ms. Davis? All right, thank you for your comments. All right, Assistant City Manager Chelsea Jackson.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to verify that Conrad Kiffin can hear me.
I can hear you.
Thank you. Please state your first and last name and your address for the record, and then proceed with your comments.
Conrad Kiffin. My address is 3214 Ancoat Street, Douglasville, Georgia, 30135.
Okay. And if you could give us some insights on why you're not in favor of this particular application.
Yeah, completely not in favor of it. We bought our house and closed just before the end of last year. We bought into the Tributary Village community based on the surrounding area and the community itself. as we began to live here and grow here, we noticed that the neighborhood is growing favorably. One of the huge detractors for the neighborhood is the amount of truck traffic, road erosion. There's quite a fair bit of traffic slowing in the mornings when we're trying to commute in, and actually also in the evenings when we're trying to get back home. There's a bike lane on Riverside, which is also something that we bought into the neighborhood for, as my wife and I are both cyclists, competitive cyclists. That bike lane is being used as a parking bay for trucks, and it creates a massive danger. So when they talk about how the roadway can handle these 2 million square foot combined factories, and they're bringing in over 600 cars, and they're not determining how many trucks they're bringing in, where are they going to put all these trucks? Are they going to put them on the bike lane also on Riverside Parkway? That's one issue. There's also a matter of roadway erosion at the right-hand turn going from Riverside onto Thornton. There, you can't. It's all gravel and massive potholes now. That needs to get worked on regardless of whether there are more trucks coming in. And it happens because the trucks that exist there now are doing this. So the roadway cannot handle it. The bike lane can't handle it. Our neighborhood can't handle it. And it really doesn't work. So we bought into the neighborhood at the end of last year. And now what I've heard is that there's a floating plan concept where you can sort of shift from what we bought in on, what we were sold on, to a new concept of something that none of us wants. That seems a little bit of a bait and switch. And I don't know, I just don't think that's ethical. Let's see, I think I have one more point. Well, somebody also did mention, I think Ms. Davis actually did mention that there have been changes to the environment. No, that was the gentleman that spoke. That there have been changes to the environment that make it favorable to have 1 million square feet of light industrial put in. Yes, there have been changes to the environment. The changes to the environment are now we have more residents, and we're looking to get a retail center filled based on the promise of having more residents and to service the current residents. I believe Asmir Davis may have some more information, or maybe somebody behind me that has yet to speak has more information as to whether that retail center has been sold or not, because I think it has. And that's all I have to say.
Okay. All right, so I think I heard you mention certainly about the additional truck traffic, road erosion, and the additional potholes and conditions of the road. You mentioned the biking lane and bay is currently being used by trucks, and then you also mentioned, in addition to the retail, and then potentially just the thinking or the comment related to the site plan that's considered like a floating site plan. So. With that said, anything or any comments? I guess one of the comments or just questions, it seems to be a concern, certainly if trucks are being parked or parking in the bike lane there, that should not be permissible. So is there any way we can enforce that, or as part of this, have some type of enforcement to ensure that those lanes are used for their designated purpose?
Mr. Chairman, that's an issue for law enforcement. These are not the first complaints that they've heard about use of the roads in tributary, but that would be their issue rather than the commission's.
All right. Yeah, and I guess I was just thinking that to ensure, I mean, maybe it's a nudge or just to continue whoever, if it is approved and if the site is built and whoever is the vendor, that they're encouraged not to use those and to ensure that they're in compliance with the usage of that particular, those lanes there as designated. All right, are there any questions from the commission to Mr. Kiffin? All right, thank you. Assistant City Manager, Chelsea Jackson.
Yes, sir. I would just like to verify that Mr. Phil Sisk is able to hear me.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Please state your first and last name for the record and your address, and then proceed with your comments.
Frank Philip Sisk, 9905 Ardwick Greenway, Douglasville, Georgia. I do live in Tributary. I have lived here since 2006, so that's over 14 years now. And I have seen, you know, this is like deja vu all over again. We have supported the zoning changes that have been and caused us the problems with all the 18-wheelers. Now, let me just say, this is a request for a change in the zoning from PUD with a base zone of R6 to L1. So it's not like it's been zoned something else in the past. It is still zoned R6, which is single family attached apartment residential district. They would like for you to think that it has already been rezoned and they're just asking for a little different. And they'll tell you that they can build whatever they want under the present zoning. First of all, let me say, I hate this format because you cannot see me and I cannot see you. And I'm gonna try not to drift around, but I want to reply to a lot of the things that have been said now. We have supported rezoning in the past with the understanding that Riverside Parkway would not become an avenue of warehouses, but it continues on as it does. I like the way that the young lady said, oh yes, there will be some light industrial trucks added to Riverside Parkway. Yeah, there will be, won't there? They don't know how many, but there will be. We have already been adversely affected by the warehouses there, much more than we were led to believe when we supported the rezoning in the past. And Patrice can correct me if I'm wrong, but the city is not asking for this. The IGI Logistics is asking the city to do this. So it's not that the city wants to do it, it's IGI Logistics LLC that wants to do that. And let's see. I don't know what Ryan's referring to when he says this rezoning makes it more favorable for light industrial. Sure it would. The more warehouses you put there, the more favorable it will be for light industrial. But if you don't put them there, it's not going to be more favorable. And possibly if it continues to be zoned R6, the PUD, we might get some single family and attached apartments, which will give us more rooftops, which would allow us to have possible commercial restaurants in our commercial center. So I don't know how Ryan says it makes it more favorable. Sure, more warehouses makes it more favorable to that. Let's see here. Ms. Littlefield, as she correctly stated, the trucks that are parked on the turning lanes on Riverside Parkway and the bike lanes are the police and sheriff's problem. Yes, that's true, but they're all the residents' problems who have to go up and down Riverside Parkway. And I have called and sent pictures to the police department, to the mayor, and to the sheriff's department. And you know, they go by and they say, y'all shouldn't be here. And the truckers say, well, I've driven as much as I can drive tonight, so I can't go to the truck stop over there and park my truck. It has to say park here. And as I've told Mayor Robinson, yes, we'll do something about it when there's a car that runs into one of those trucks and kills 2 or 3 people. But
Can anybody hear anything?
No, I'm not able to hear Mr. Sisk. Are you still there, Mr. Sisk?
somehow I got muted. What was the last thing you heard?
You mentioned in regards to conversation with Mayor Robinson in regards
Yes, I was
to.
just saying, as I told Mayor Robinson, I'm sure we'll do something about it when somebody runs into the back of one of those trucks parked in the turning lane or the bike lanes and is killed on Riverside Parkway. And the more warehouses we have out there, the more dangerous it will be. So I urge you not to rezone this from the PUD. Also, let me just say, the people that are representing IDI Logistics, they live in Atlanta, and I love Atlanta, but that is not Douglasville. It will not affect them one bit if you rezone this property or not, but it will affect us. And we live here, and I plan to live here on and on. And I want it to continue to be a place that I love to live, not a place that I hate to drive up and down Riverside Parkway. So without going any further, if you've got questions of me, I'll be glad to answer those. Hello?
Now I can't hear the mayor. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, no, I was going to say thank you for your comments. And if there's any questions or comments to Mr. Sisk.
Is the mayor there?
No, the mayor's not on.
Sorry. I didn't think the mayor was.
Sorry.
I'm sure that the mayor would tell you how many times I have talked to her about the 18-wheelers parked in the turning lane or the bike lane.
Okay.
So I'm sorry. Does anyone else have questions for me?
Okay, thank you so much for those comments. Duly noted. All right, at this time, Assistant City Manager Chelsea Jackson, are there any more cards?
Yes, sir, there are. We do have 2 individuals that would like to speak that currently their name wasn't listed correctly with what they registered with. So I will try to identify them to make sure they can speak. So I'll just call their name and then just please let me know if you are one of these individuals. Mr. Ken Watson or Alicia Higgins. Alicia Higgins or Ken Watson. Okay. And I will try to announce them one more time.
Okay.
Is Mr. Ken Watson or Miss Alicia Higgins available to speak on item number 20-197? Okay, Mr. Chair, there are no one else left to speak on this item.
Okay, thank you. Greatly appreciate your assistance. All right, at this time, I would like to ask the commission, are there any other questions to the applicant or to the community development director or zoning administrator?
Do I have any rebuttal, Mr. Chair?
Yes, if you have something you would like to add in addition to what's been shared.
Just very, very briefly. I know this whole DCD PUD concept is extremely complicated and sometimes it sounds like it doesn't make sense. But the whole concept was that a variety of uses, which included 12.5 million square feet of industrial space, could go within tributary. And generally, it was always to be located at the end of Riverside where this one is going. It is being rezoned now because we want to take it out of that DCD PUD and just put a use on it. But it has been zoned, all of those uses could have gone anywhere within in tributary itself. So as I said, it's complicated, but I'm actually trying to explain it as best I can. And the bottom line is that the use is allowed. The second thing I'd like to address are these concerns about the truck traffic. Certainly, I wouldn't be so naive as to tell you there won't be truck traffic, but if you want to put a condition on us that says you will not park in bike lanes or in turn lanes or on the side of the road, we're happy to do it. I think Susan's right. It is a law enforcement matter, but if it would make people feel more comfortable to know that we could be cited with a zoning violation, have at it. We don't have any intention of doing that. I don't know who these trucks are, where they're coming from, why they're stopping where they're stopping or parking where they're parking. But those are obviously not our tenants, and we can certainly control within the terms of any leases and the like that they're not allowed to do that, and then deal appropriately with the tenant if they actually do that. This was a proposal thoroughly reviewed by the Georgia Regional Transportation Authority, who did not at all find any problem with the traffic study or the traffic impact. They vetted this, not me. And the staff did the same thing and the same result obtained. So this is not stuff I'm telling you and expect you to believe because I'm standing up here. This was in the traffic study, which I believe you have in your packet. And they found that the impact would be negligible. So part of that, I think, is because truck traffic tends not to occur at peak hours. If you think about it, it's during the day and mostly during the afternoons. So unlike a multifamily development, which could have 900, 1,000 cars coming out in the morning and returning at 5 o'clock in the night, the truck traffic doesn't. And in fact, has the least amount of, it's 9 trucks in the PM peak hour and 2 in the AM peak hour. So in terms of when the most traffic is on the road, this is a soft use for this site as opposed to what else could be built on it now. So that's, I think, the last I wanted to say, unless you have any additional questions for me.
Okay. Just one question. Do you have an idea, just at a high level, the potential employment impact and how many new jobs this could bring into the community?
You know, a lot of that, again, depends upon the end user because you could have more of a pure warehouse space. I can tell you that from a tax standpoint, we're looking at 60 million property value at build out and property tax generation of $500,000 to $750,000 a year with no negative impact on schools. So that's a positive. It's hard to answer on employees because it is highly dependent upon who we end up with. We have parked it at code. I doubt seriously all those parking spaces will be full of employees.
Okay, understand.
May I ask?
All right. Are there any other questions from the commission? Any other questions from the commission itself?
Yeah, I got a comment, Mr. Chairman. I think overall IDI has been here a long time. If you drive down there and look at their projects, they really do a good job. All of their warehouses, for what they are, their landscape really nice. The grounds are nice. So I would say they do a good job.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Tony. Any other questions or comments from the commission? All right. Well, being none at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion for item 20-197.
Mr. Chair, before you accept that motion, I apologize for interrupting, but I heard from Keith Burnett, and he would like for everyone to know why he was dropped from the call, but he did recuse himself. He owns property within a 2-mile radius of this development, and so he has recused himself from this item. Additionally, during the meeting, Ms. Streetman also sent us a note saying that she was recusing herself because her family, her husband, his family owns property. Actually, I think 2 of those residential homes in that area. And so she has recused herself from that call, and she will file her documentation as early as tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you, Community Development Director Patrice Williams. All right. Well, if there are no other questions or comments, I'd like to entertain a motion for item 20-197.
Mr. Chairman, this is Larry. I make a motion that we approve item 20-197.
All right, motion been made. Is there a second to the motion?
This is Faye Carter, second that motion.
All right, motion been made and properly seconded. Are there any other comments or discussion at this time on the motion? All right, being none, I will go ahead and do a roll call of the remaining 3 members that can vote at this time. Larry Toney.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Faye Dobbs Carter.
Aye.
All right, thank you. And Ruth Morgan.
Nay.
All right. All right, motion approved 2-1.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, well, at this time, we'll move to other business and we'll move to staff report. So at this time, Community Development Director Patrice Williams.
Mr. Chair, I did are
you still with us? Did we lose Patrice?
I think she may have been dropped from the call, Chairman Braxton. I can go ahead and report on the old business. If you'll give me a brief moment, I'll pull that up and report on the items that you all voted on at your last Planning Commission meeting.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Ratson, if you allow me to speak, I believe Ms. Williams was about to say she was wanted to give a minute for Ms. Streetman and Mr. Burnett to call back in.
Okay, that's fine. We'll give them a minute. Ms. Jackson, Maya, if you're able to confirm when they have rejoined the call.
I am. This is
Okay,
April Streetman.
Okay, thank you for returning.
Okay, thanks.
okay.
And we'll give Mr. Barnett a few minutes to join as well.
I'm sorry about that. I have the worst internet ever tonight. I do apologize. I've been dropped 4 times. But
Oh,
keep
wow.
getting back on the call.
Okay, we appreciate you keep coming back.
All right, so we do have Keith on the call now. Just one quick announcement. Just a reminder, we do have a Planning Commission meeting scheduled for July the 7th at 6 p.m. That will be an in-person meeting. I do have some expectations that we'll probably be doing somewhat of a Zoom as well. But this meeting will be in person in the auditorium at 6 o'clock. And so you'll get more information related to that meeting. Our deadline for our July meeting was scheduled for May 29th, last Friday at 12 p.m. So we have about 8 applications. 3 of those are apartments. So we'll be looking at several items in the upcoming several weeks. And so we're really excited to have the development or the potential development going on in the community. So we'll be working with y'all closely to make sure that we get you the information that you need and onward with council as well. So if you have any questions or if you need anything as we move forward, please feel free to contact the office.
All right, thank you. And I believe Maya Jackson was also going to provide, or there were some updates from our last meeting. So Maya, didn't know if you had found those or we want to go through those at this time.
Yes, sir. So the ordinance to allow a rezoning for SP Douglas Place was approved by mayor and council, and that property was also annexed into the city. And recently council voted on your last item to approve the rezoning for 6740 West Spring Street. And that's all, Chairman Braxton.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other questions or any other comments, updates from staff? And I think that, again, this is our first official meeting with Ryan Anderson, the new zoning administrator to the city. So Ryan, congratulations. And didn't know if there's anything you would like to share or any introductions you would like to do at this time.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here. I'm and happy to be working for the city of Douglasville. And we have a lot of interesting projects coming up in the future. And I look forward to working with you and your team and the planning commission.
All right. All right. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Any comments from any of the commissioners? Anything else we may have missed? I do want to say, I just want to publicly acknowledge the great deal of great information and input into the cases and just the additional details that were provided, and that checklist was very helpful. So Patrice, thank you, and just want to acknowledge that on the call this evening.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, if there's no other comments or no other questions, I'll go ahead and entertain a motion for adjournment.
Chairman, I make a motion that we adjourn.
All right, motion been made. Is there a second?
I second.
All right, motion been properly made and seconded. At this time, we'll do our roll call to close us out. So Larry Toney.
Aye.
Faye Dobbs Carter.
Aye.
Ruth Morgan.
Aye.
Keith Barnett.
Aye.
And April Streetman.
Aye.
All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you for your participation, and look forward to seeing everyone next month.
Everybody have a great night.
You too.
All right, take care. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.